Hello, we are the Shady Ladies.
We come in peace.
We have only one message.
And it is...
Hi!
Welcome back, you guys. All-Star Season 2 is upon us, and it is a beautiful, glorious day. And we are your hosts, Samira Roy and Mark Poupard, contributing editors at Gambit Magazine, and your resident Shady Ladies, here to talk all things RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. We are so excited. Hopefully you are too.
It was a really good
It was
first
probably
episode.
One of their better premieres in a long time.
In a long time. I'm saying since
and
like
it was
season
and it was
5.
a supersized episode too, because it was like an hour and 15, I think.
Yeah, with commercials, you know, it was like an hour and 30-minute broadcast, which I was happy about. I'm like, oh yes, it's like feature length.
I could take several 90-minute increments of RuPaul's Drag Race every single time. I'm beyond happy with what they had. I mean, they got right to it. Because we know who the players are vaguely, even though they all had little intros. And then...
we have to... Because everybody, you know, that was the thing. How are they going to enter? Because it's always like a big moment. It's your first moment to introduce yourself, but they're reintroducing themselves. So, like, is there any meaning to the order in which they entered?
Like, in relation
Katya
to how...
entered first on her season, and she entered first again this time.
Yes, and I did like how they had the flashback footage sort of incorporated into their walk into the workroom.
Yeah, like, you can see that Katya's sticking to her brand, because that's apparently they've gone very Tyra with this season, and it's all about branding.
They must have signed up for Tyra's course at Stanford in business branding.
God, can you imagine?
Or I'm sorry, was it marketing branding or something?
Some kind of...
Basically, yeah, how to become a Tyra, which is live, breathe, eat your brand constantly. And I would actually say in a close second, Bethany Frankel from Real Housewives of New York is all about the skinny girl brand. I mean, down to like, there are shots in the show in her house where it's all like the red and white from Skinny Girl. It's like the exact shade. It's she's
brainwashing.
Yeah, she's
So
she's
they're
on
trying
brand
to teach
always.
drag queens to brainwash you, which makes me think that Alaska's entrance with the spinning umbrella may be more prophetic. Because Alaska proved right away, even though she wasn't in the end one of the, she didn't end up being the top two, but I thought she acquitted herself really well and showed herself off very consistently throughout this first episode to be like, nope, she could still take this, and she's still probably the smartest one there. But brainwashing, brand.
I actually think Tatiana might be smarter than she lets on.
Tatiana was always kind of smart, you know, but like, I appreciate that. It's so funny. She's saying,
Thank you.
She looks the same, but like a more mature woman, but still youthful and irreverent. And they're like, it's only been 6 years. It feels like it was so much longer ago when you look at the quality of the footage from season 2.
Yeah, and even just the quality of like the other queens and how they looked, even their looks look very dated in the flashbacks. Tatiana's entrance
looks were still amazing. Even looking at him today, I'm like, damn, she did have something, but she was such a bitch. Couldn't stand her. But
when Tatiana had her entrance and they flash back to her entrance in season 2, it was the most drastic of a change.
Yeah, and I was like, what did you learn from last time? It's like not to shop at Wet Seal before you go on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh my God.
I was like, that explains it all so much. That's
a wreck.
There we go.
Thank God Wet Seal closed for Tatiana's sake.
Yes. She had to shop somewhere else. But she has her look, it's just a little more refined, a little more polished. But she always had like, you know, really...
Well, I think it was Alyssa Edwards that was like, oh, come through, Kylie Jenner. I was like, she's got some Kardashian there too.
Yeah. She kept it up. Detox is pretty much exactly the same, except for Out of Drag has that ridiculous hair.
Well, I was joking to you
yellow.
When we were watching it before we came in to record again. When Detox walks in her outfit in the workroom, I was like, oh, is that Chad Michaels? Because she kind of looked it a little bit.
But she had like the same kind of sunglasses. Like it was like it's still the same aesthetic. It was always Detox. Detox when she was on her season. I think it was just
Detox new filler makes her look like Chad Michaels.
Yeah, it's not as drastic as Alaska's filler though.
Oh my God! When they cut to Alaska's confessional out of drag, I was like, ah!
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what happened? And the lips.
Filler. Like, I texted you. I was like, it's all filler.
It's all filler. And same with like Adora got filler in her lips. And Adora already had really good lips anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, now that everyone's back, it's like you can see which ones, like, how they've changed their look. And have had work done. And I'm like, it's always like ridiculous lips. Like they all look ridiculous out of drag now. It's like they had the work done to make them look better in drag.
Definitely.
So out of drag, they all look like really, really strange compared to how they used to look. And I'm just like, because it wasn't based on how they looked out of drag that they made those decisions. It seems like, so they all look still the same. It's weird. They look the same in drag.
I had this thought when I was watching it, and they kept cutting to all the talking heads with them out of drag, and especially the people that have had work done. It's to them, it's an investment in their business. That's what this is. That's what doing all this filler and sculpting their cheeks and shaving off part of their chin and all that stuff is just to look better, because the better that they look in drag, the more bookings they get, the more money that they get. So their brand is very much tied to their appearance in and out of drag. In and out, though, because out of drag, then it's like, who... I mean, you can't live a normal life like that, right? Without people being like, what is happening? So unless you're like, oh, I'm a drag queen, then it all kind of comes together, and what else are you going to do?
Oh,
so I feel like,
so this is the canvas. Let's see. Alyssa looks a little thinner.
Same as she ever was, though.
But same as she ever was. I love the big bow.
Back rolls.
Still, they have to, they always, I love that they always had that clip in. You can never, like, see Alyssa without thinking of that moment along with the... We need the, like, thing that they have on the show that amplifies it.
Right.
And, like, highlights it
Oh,
for
you
us.
mean a sound team?
Yes, we need that. So we need to have, like, record the lip smacks, like, separately. And then work on them. And then just
play them over. Yeah,
pepper the podcast with them randomly.
We just leave the pause in, and then they add it in post, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
We're real low tech. So we're going live. Fuck it, we're doing it live, for God's sake.
Hate him. I don't know what he's doing now.
Oh yeah, that's our third co-host. It's LaWanda Shea.
We forget she's always here.
She's always here, so we don't feel like we have to introduce her. She just pops up when she feels the need. She has something to say.
Like the lip smacks hopefully will as well someday.
But yeah, I think Alyssa did lose a little bit of weight, but I think, she makes enough comments about her back rolls, so...
Right, and like, her brand is already also very well established by this point.
Oh, very much.
Like...
Through World of Wonder, I mean, that's how I've watched what she's been up to this point, which sounds a little stalker, and I don't intend it to sound that way. But, yeah, I mean, Alyssa's Secret, and then all of her appearances on the various RuPaul web shows, like, she's busy.
And the game show, like, she obviously probably has lots and lots of club appearances in between.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, and it's like, what you're gonna get when you go see Alyssa, and but you don't know exactly what it's gonna be. So there's still an element of surprise with her. So I was happy to see that she did very well and looked great coming in. Fifi, dressed like the Riddler drag.
Yeah, I mean, I know that she does...
I get the look, and
I know she does Instagram cosplay stuff now, and most of her looks are really, really good. But that looked a little thrown together. And then I think on Instagram she did say that she had literally just thrown it on because she missed her call time. And so she had to just put on something.
Oh, Fifi.
I know. But what I love the most about Fifi's entrance was being reminded of her great line of, go back to Party City where you belong.
She'll never live that down.
Oh, it's so good.
It will always show that moment.
Oh, it's so
with
funny.
Her arms, like I think she wants to describe them like she was a bird in flight, like a predator about to strike.
Oh, right, because her face was half made up.
And like her arms were in her chest pushed out and the arms back, like she had all of it going on.
I mean, but Fifi she's not as orange.
Yeah.
It's funny that we had
stopped tanning.
It's funny that the two orange queens were in the bottom too.
That's true. The orangiest queens.
But she stopped using self-tanner and tanning beds, which I have to say, it improves her skin and her look for sure. And I think also her ability to wear makeup if she could just learn how to apply makeup well. Which, I'm one to talk. I am not good at doing that. I do not have a glam squad, nor can I draw a straight eyeliner line on my lid. So, but as a drag queen, I expect you to be better at makeup than me. That's why I enjoy drag.
This is your art.
Exactly. I don't expect everyone to be Kim Chi, but I do expect you to be able to bake your face.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Nice use
Get
of
some milk and magnesia, let that shit bake, and put that foundation on. Let's go.
Well, Ginger came in sort of looking exactly the same, except that
but she got a corset. She got a corset, and now she's gonna win this because she thinks that Violet won just because she wore a corset. That was so shady.
Like,
and I thought it was
all you need is a corset to win this competition, so I bought one. And it's like, well, there was a little more going on than that.
Right.
Sorry about it. I don't know what to tell you, Ginger. But, and it was weird, like you said, like we predicted before, like, we're not going to see anything really new. And we don't. It's just like, it's like, you're good at all these things. And your personality is that you're good at all these things.
And then that's about it. Even down from her reads in the mini challenge, which we'll get to obviously, and her talent showing in the show, it was all just like, okay, and it's fine. I don't dislike Ginger. I just think that someone else could have been there instead. And Ginger's reason for coming back is everyone had like a reason, like rehabbing my image.
She wasn't happy with herself at the time.
No, she said that, she has something to prove in the sense that everybody said that season 7 girls were lackluster and Ginger doesn't believe that to be true. But I think that she just means that she doesn't think she's lackluster, not that she thought that her season was lackluster. Because let's face it, Katya and Trixie were on that season, so we know it wasn't that lackluster.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's her whole reason. But to go back to our branding discussion, everybody has a reason for why they want to be there, and all of it is tied back to their image and their brand. Like Fifi was like, I couldn't get gigs after RuPaul's Drag Race because everybody thought I was crazy. Not crazy, but just thought I was really mean, would just yell at them and fly off the handle. And then Roxy comes in and was also talking about how she wanted to redeem herself and that she was a scheming bitch and she doesn't want to be that girl. Lots of I don't want to be that girl talk too.
Yeah.
You know, there's sometimes there are just like trigger words and lines that kind of catch like wildfire among a group of contestants and they all start repeating it.
So it became, as the Raja called it, he was like redemption. Redemption was like the main theme.
Yes.
Of this
also season 2 redemption, I guess is what it should have been called, redemption.
Katya was like, all these other girls are here to like redeem their image from before. I'm here to compete. Like,
right. I think Katya, well, in a sense, she was like, I feel like I've got my anxiety under control now and I won't let it get the best of me and I just want to have fun and compete. That's her goal. But she's also saying that, you know, I've kind of come a ways since the Katya of 2 years ago. Was that when she was on season 7? And I believe her because she seems to be having the most fun and seems to be... Her and Alyssa, I think, are on the same wavelength, which is like, fuck it, we have careers outside of this anyway. This is just supposed to be like summer camp, you guys.
Yeah,
relax.
Right. Until Michelle Visage.
Well, we'll get to Michelle. Well, I don't know if she rolled off the wrong side of the bed or needed another cocktail or if she's upset of the addition of Todrick Hall. Like, I don't know what her problem is.
But there's something wrong.
But whatever she said to Adore on the runway had nothing to do with her and had everything to do with something that's going on with Michelle. Which maybe it's a producer's note that, like, we're going to do good cop, bad cop this year. And Rue's going to be the good cop and you're going to be the very asshole cop. Like, super racist asshole cop. Not like Michelle is obviously not racist, but you know what I mean. Just that, like, extreme, like, I will taser you if you do not know what I say type of cop.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll get to that. But, shudder. So we saw Roxy came in looking pretty much the same, too.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, her makeup...
looks great. A little trimmer, but still thick and juicy, as she says, which is true.
But I think that Roxy...
That's her brand.
But I also forgot how annoying Roxy is.
Yeah, like, it was... we'll get to that when we get to the eliminations.
Yeah, but it starts in real hot. Like, she's just like, hi, guys. I don't know. I just already felt, like, annoyed.
I am not that girl. That was... Like,
maybe that's why. It was immediately like, this is my redemption stories. I'm starting my arc now. I'm stating it blatantly to the cameras.
There'll probably be fewer episodes, so they got to start early, because this whole episode starts early on... It's like, it starts all the things that we love about the series. Like
it's like a roller coaster that has, you think you're getting to the top, but like you're actually just about to drop from the top.
Yeah, it was like, it's like all the things of a regular season, but they have to be condensed because there's fewer episodes, so we get all our milestones quicker. So we're like, oh shit, we're reading people already.
Oh god, yeah.
It's like we just met Coco, Alaska, and Tatiana, and now we're reading.
I know. I almost felt whiplash from how quickly that went.
It's like, geez, I'm like, give us a moment, but it's like, hey, well, I want this anyways. This is pretty great.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not...
And they're stars, so it's supposed to be better.
Right. You should already have these skills kind of down pat to the point where I can just spring the library is open on you and you will read well. And I'm totally fine with that. I just was like, oh shit, oh, okay, hold on, let me just adjust my seat and get a refill.
Okay.
And, okay.
Popcorn's
and
ready.
Go.
It was really so Katya's reads were really good.
Oh, you want to go over the rest? I mean, Roxy was obnoxious from the jump, I thought, with...
Yeah.
She's fine. She's fine. It was just okay.
It was just okay. Like, it wasn't anything really special. Coco, at least, actually looked, like, I love the old Hollywood look Coco had, and I love the cheekiness of having that Dorito, compact, you know, like, reference the paint colors she was using.
Oh,
last
she
season.
She didn't need it because the editors threw in multiple, whatchamacallit. Oh my god, I totally lost my train of thought.
Flashbacks.
No, well, not the flashbacks, but they were just like, oh, here's the visual reference point for you. Here she is orange. Here she is orange again. Oh, she's orange like 25 more times.
Yeah, I was her look. It was like so...
And it was always like a dramatic of her turning away from the mirror and looking absolutely
like that one where
bonkers.
like Alyssa in season 5, she's like, you need to put more pink in that eye, and she's like, you need to worry about what you got going on over there. Anyway, she's like, oh, look how orange you fucking look. Like, it's like, that is a true friend, if ever there was one, to be like, no, you need to hear this. Like, you cannot pretend that this looks okay. I'm telling you now, it does not look okay.
Oh my god.
You can talk all the shit you want about me. I'm trying to help you here. I was totally like, it gives you that perspective on like Alyssa's, like, because she was being like constantly like, you know, digging, you know, to like get people to react.
Pecked away, I think.
You know, she did that intentionally for her amusement, but I love that Coco was clearly trying to help people. Like, I get it.
Yeah, she tried to be like, I'm in on the joke, but then in her confessional, and then with hindsight, this comment made way more sense, but she's like, oh, they can make fun of me all you want. You know, I finally found my shade, something or another. And she's like, some people just keep doing the same thing, Roxy Andrews.
Yep. She's like, I'm not going to name names, Roxy Andrews. I'm like, but you just did.
Yeah, it was her shade. And much like her reads, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was not like, you know, she was, I mean, maybe she needs to warm up a little. Like, you know, but she was pretty damn funny on season 5. Even when you didn't like her or agree with her, she was pretty funny in her one-on-one interviews. And it wasn't quite happening now as well as we remember it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Adore's entrance?
With the with the braids and
I wanted that entire outfit.
It's very like what was it? Someone I forgot who it was. Was it Katya or someone called it like poetic justice look?
90s smell my punani poetic justice realness.
Because poetic justice was totally like the
braids,
reference point that I'm getting with also the jacket and like I don't know, all of it. It was very. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, and that works for me. I think that is really cool. I think it is totally you. I think, like, I don't know, it's bizarre, because Adore was an interesting case in terms of, like, you understand her when she walks in the room, and then she gets in front of the judges, and then something happens that, like, they don't get it, and I'm like, but you know this is who she is, like, why are you acting all confused now? Like, you totally already knew all of this about her before she came here, so you can't, like, pretend to be disappointed or excited, or, you know, like, we'll find out when we talk about that. But I loved her entrance look. It was totally like she sticks with that brand. That is her brand. Like poor punk rock chick.
Mm-hmm. Well, she said that she was inspired by 90s grunge and like the Riot Girl movement, which like is completely evident in like the skirt and the ripped fishnets and stuff. So I totally got her reference points for all of what her look was pulling from. So I have no problem with it. I do think her entrance outfit was more polished, if you will, than what she wore to the talent show, but
yeah, but polish is not what you come to Adore for,
right? But I wouldn't even call what she was. I guess it was just like maybe a more thought out look. I don't really know what the judges were looking for, to be totally honest, when they critiqued her, but to maybe have avoided the backlash, I think that she maybe should have swapped outfits. But, you know, once again, watching this, hindsight's 2020, so Adore had no idea what was waiting for her.
Or
maybe she had an idea. I felt really bad for her, but I just also thought, well, what'd you expect? You've been on tour with Michelle, too, and she is known to give you unwanted feedback. Okay, or what you said.
Which is just, I still think it's stupid to even give her shit. It's like basically like, why don't you not be you? is like basically what she keeps telling her. And I'm like, bitch, can't you tell that like that is just plain hurtful? It's not constructive criticism. It's just hurtful to say the same thing over and over to somebody. It's like, that means that's who that person is. Like, get over it. If you don't like it, then fuck you. Who cares? Yeah. Like, really, like, it's not that, like, you are not like the queen of drag queens. You just aren't. You aren't the queen of drag queens who has the right to tell people who they should be. That's, that's your vision, not theirs. So deal with it. Adore, you can stick to your vision. I appreciate it. Then Alaska, of course, with her like another trash bag dress. She likes these trash bag looks, but this was a really cool look still. It was very similar to her entrance before. Yeah. Because she already got her tagline. And she already sort of has her brand of comedy humor.
Yes, definitely. Well, she's like droll one-liners.
It's still very creative, like, Delta work, I do not agree with you.
Well, we were discussing before we came in to record about how Delta just dislikes her, because if you don't like her, that's fine, but you can't say that she's not funny or that she's not talented.
Or she's not creative, and, like, it was just weird, like, I don't know. I liked her entrance. I loved the umbrella bit, obviously we loved it because we totally ripped it off. But... and nonetheless, I thought that she came in like, I am ready for this. I know who I am. Like, I knew who I was before, and I almost won. And I could probably win now if I really felt like it.
I really like that Alaska and Detox were both like, I felt like I should have won, so that's why I'm here. I'm here to win again. Like, to actually win for real. So I wonder if that's going to set them slightly apart from the others that are seeking to, I wouldn't say revamp their image, but definitely boost their brand and have their little redemption storyline.
And so that's why it was like hard, like, for everyone to imagine, what were we going to make of Tatiana?
She was definitely the most surprising. I mean, she looks fantastic.
She still looks amazing. She
looks better now than she does before.
Yeah, like mature, like a little more mature, like the woman has matured as well as the boy. Mm-hmm. But still essentially the same, like, because it's the same person.
Yeah. Well, her makeup skills have definitely improved. I feel like her fashion
the dress sense has improved.
Wet Seal has closed, and so is Contempo Casual. So I feel like
Contempo Casual is closed.
Girl had to step into a Nordstrom, so it's looking good.
She had some pretty good looking things, so I
can't wait to see more. I mean, her wig in the talent show was also cool. Her whole look was very thought out. I mean, I think she's more of a. I get more of like a fashion queen vibe.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Well, we'll get into that when we get to the main challenge. But then they go right into, like, from their introductions, they go right into reading each other. So the library opens instantly. Only 2 of the pit crew come out. Our ginger pit crew member was not there. I wonder if
the architect?
There. Yeah, the engineer. Bryce.
It'd be way more like a Nicholas Sparks movie if he was an architect, but I'll take engineer.
I wonder if he's going to be there. I hope he is. But he wasn't there now. But they brought out a tray of glasses for them, but then they all use, like, opera glasses for the reads. And Katya was funny.
Her dig at Roxy was insane.
Oh, my God. Like, almost died. Like, Alaska did almost die. She was on the ground.
She was rolling.
She was literally rolling on the floor laughing. Like, we actually saw that acronym come to life. Mm-hmm. Because it was, what was it? She was like, oh, I think about you every morning at the bus stop. I'm like,
I think about you all the time, or I think about you a lot, especially in the morning at the bus stop.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, at least she laughed about it. I was just like, oh, no, that's bold.
A jaw on the floor, just like, what are you doing?
I can't believe you said that. And, well, Roxy's cool with it, so I guess it's okay for everyone. Well, everyone laughed, including Roxy, but I'm like, Roxy didn't seem fazed by it throughout the rest of the episode. Mm-hmm. So which makes me think that, like, she didn't take it badly, it wasn't received poorly, and wasn't delivered with the intention to actually hurt someone. So
no, I don't.
It was so. It was like a real. I like said bold. I like it. I like you taking a risk and a good one.
Gate.
Yeah. Right away. I love, like, what was it? Alyssa said, like, man, you bitches are hateful.
Well, I mean, I think it was when Alyssa walked in and it was Detox and Katya and her, and they were standing around. They were just like, oh, I think Detox made a comment about, oh, they rerouted the grout. And he's like, oh, I wasn't talking about you, Alyssa. She's like, girl, this is day 1, hour 1. The shade is knee deep.
Alyssa was like on from the beginning.
Oh, she looks. What I love the most about Alyssa is that she was just so happy to be there. Which
she's like fully checked in. Like,
yeah, she's into it and she loves it.
She's like, no more back rolls.
Back rolls.
The look of shock. But like right away, face. She gets lost in the mirror. Well, when she comes in, she gets lost in the mirror right away. But her reads were actually pretty funny because let me introduce to you Monsters Inc.
That was really good.
Coco Montrese, Beast. Like, oh, that was funny. Okay, you were good. You got through that because that was she was all right. I think in her season when she did the reads when the library was open. Yeah, she definitely didn't win. Alaska, I think, won. Then and won this time because she was clearly the best. But Tatiana was pretty good. I was like, oh, okay.
I actually liked out of all
because she wouldn't do it in her season, even though she was reading all the time in her one-on-ones. When they got to that was the first Libraries Open challenge, and she couldn't do it. And I'm like, so she got over that. She got over that big time, and she just. Well, I loved what she said about Alaska. It's what my anus does when I eat Mexican food. It's like that's what it's like listening to your album. Choices. That was a theme for her, too. Choices. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Just like a talent show. I can't wait till we get to that. But, but Detox was pretty funny, but, like, So, like, the most memorable ones, I think, were clearly Alaska and Katya. To me, were like, probably the best ones. Ginger was not bad, but it was...
No, but the one good zinger that Ginger had worked only because of Adore's reaction. She's like, Ginger... do you know what, or Ginger, Adore, do you know what makes you the all-time fan favorite drag queen? She's like, no. It's like, neither do I. And if Adore hadn't answered so genuinely and like ready to laugh, I don't know if it would have landed as well.
Yeah, she needed Adore for that line to land a little bit.
And I definitely think that Fifi had the best Tatiana dig, though, where she was like, sweetie, if you don't have a wristband, you can't be back here for the meet and greet.
They all had, like, most of them, except for Coco.
Oh, Coco is so hard to watch.
Like, Alaska, Katya can see you from her backyard. And I'm like, what is that joke even supposed to be saying? Like, I clearly are making fun of Sarah Palin, but what does Sarah Palin have to do with either of these two characters?
That's one theme, and then I also think maybe that's like a butt joke. Like, I don't really know.
It's so hard to tell what she was trying to communicate with that joke, which is her theme throughout the episode as well.
What are you trying to tell us?
What are you trying to tell us? I feel like I need to call a 1-800 number for you at this point because you have lost your damn mind. But you get that sense. The entrance was good, but right from the reads where she has to start really performing, it's like off. It's like she is tuned into another network.
Her weird
the one that connects to that kid in Stranger Things when he's in the Upside Down. Like I think she's like tuned onto that channel.
Oh,
because everything was so.
I hope she found a safe space to hide from the monster.
It was like waiting for blinking lights to start speaking to us, like or something to tell us what's really going on.
Like from the jump, her weird poem to Alyssa Edwards was more. Like,
Alyssa,
cute.
my dear, I can't stand it when you're near.
But all of her reads needed like one more part to it.
Like it needed to go further to tell us, like, okay, what? Like you said, the punchline. There's no punchline.
Yeah.
So it never tells us where it was supposed to go.
It's like if I told you, "Oh, I went to the store today," and then just ended it.
Like, okay, well, that's supposed to lead you to like
I have
either
so many
I saw this person there,
I have
or
so
I
many
bought
questions
this amazing
now.
thing there, or
I'm not gonna tell you what I did there.
Was really hungover and I threw up in the middle of aisle 4
I'm not even gonna tell you what
cereal.
store I went to.
Like what store? The drugstore, the pot store,
the grocery store, any store,
the liquor store,
the bagel store.
Ooh, the bakery.
Ooh, the bakery store.
I want to go to a bakery.
Oh.
Is that donut shop open near here?
No,
it's probably closed if they're out of
it's
donuts
too
already.
late.
They're always out of donuts. Damn them.
But
yeah, Coco was off from the beginning, and you saw it from the reads. Like I said, Ginger was okay. Roxy. She was pretty funny. Like she didn't have a bad line. She just wasn't like a big standout.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alaska was the main standout and took... Well, apparently this season of Drag Race also has a lot more money to spend because they got like she got a $2,000 gift certificate for winning the reading mini challenge. And then now we get into like, after the reads, we get into like the meat of like how this season's going to work. And RuPaul this is how they parse all the information in this episode. It's so brilliant how they split it up.
They also did a really good job of releasing just the right information to the audience to prep them for what's about to happen. Because we didn't know about the prize money. We didn't know about the bottom 3, top 2 thing, how that was going to work. Because, anyway, we'll get to it.
It wasn't totally defined.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, it's like, so, apparently you get a really nice prize at the mini challenge again. Like, it was kind of lackluster, I felt like, last season. Like, there weren't a lot of prizes. It wasn't as many, like, big things. Like, oh, here, you get this really cool thing because a sponsor gave it to us. But, like, they're still giving away the $100,000 to the winner. But now, every week... Like, we mentioned this before, like, there's the lip sync for your legacy instead of lip sync for your life. But you win $10,000 if you win that lip sync so basically, you want to win every week and have the best lip sync. That's an extra $10,000 cash. I mean, what, $7,500, $6,500 after taxes?
Well, yeah, and also what did Katya say? She's like, so you win the $100,000, and you win $10,000 every time you win.
I could literally walk away from this competition with $350,000.
Oh.
I didn't go to school for math.
She let her Boston out.
But, yeah, it was like, okay, that's a lot. Like, they're giving away a lot of shit. You know, there's probably going to be other, like, little mini... like, I think you get you get the $10,000 for the Maxi Challenge. And you get... And win... Maxi Challenge win and... Or I guess lip sync win is basically you winning the Maxi Challenge.
Well, the Maxi Challenge... You also get, like, jewelry or whatever. But Tatiana and Roxy, didn't they get that jewelry for being in the top 2, and then you win the 10 Gs for winning?
Oh, yeah. So there's,
the
like,
top
so
2
much...
win something.
There was, like, already so much shit.
There are so many prizes that we cannot keep them straight.
They got really good perks this season for the winning of anything. So, they gave you even more incentive to be, like, on your best every single episode. They always tell them to be, but it's like, no, this is, like, the real motivation every week. It's going to pay off, because, you know, if you perform well at the club, you get a tip, but since this is the Olympics of drag, and this is RuPaul's All-Stars, it's like, no, your tip should be big. Your tip is $10,000. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, I want to win. But then, RuPaul doesn't tell him all of it. He just tells him at first, I am not eliminating anyone this season. So they all go through the episode thinking that no one's going to get eliminated.
And that all of them are going to win $10,000 every time they lip sync.
The real advantage of being here, the real thing that makes you want to do better is that you get $10,000 for winning the challenge and the lip sync for your legacy. And then they get to... Well, that's enough for them. And then they realize that their challenge this week is a drag talent show extravaganza. So they each have to pick a talent. And bizarrely, they cut out all the little, like, workroom walkthroughs where they go. Rue meets with everyone and talks about what their idea is.
Yeah, but you said they had them as bonus clips online.
They do. So you can watch them on the website, but it's interesting to see.
So I didn't watch them because I didn't know. They didn't tell anybody.
Well, my DVR missed the first, 15, 20 minutes of the episode.
Oh.
So I had to go to the website to watch it, and then it was, bonus clip walkthrough, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just watch these now. Because I thought that, they were going to be in the episode, and then when I picked up where the, recording left off kind of thing, that it would be in between there or something. No, they were just not in there. So they bizarrely cut it out because the episode was really long anyways. But, the only thing that they really did was insert a bit of drama over Tatiana's talent because Tatiana was kind of vague about exactly what it was. I think she just didn't want to call it a spoken word performance. Kind of like
because that has a connotation.
There's a stigma associated with it that's negative.
Because so often people don't do it well. Thank you. Just get right to the point, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it.
Oftentimes people are bad at stuff and they make it have a bad rap. And that's why Detox is afraid to call her particular act performance art, and that's why Tatiana was hesitant to say spoken word, because people are just automatically going to assume some things, because we both had the same reaction to Tatiana's spoken word. We're like, oh no, I don't know.
When you hear the words, when it says Tatiana talent spoken word, and you're like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Right. But then it started off
you hear
perfectly.
it, and you're like, I gotta strap in, because this could be awful. And
But it was amazing.
It was hilarious.
It was so good.
Who knew that was going to be the best showcase of her talents?
But the funny thing is that we should have known, because if there's anything that we remember Tatiana for, it was how she used her words.
Thank you.
So, like, she was so entertaining to watch in those one-on-one interviews because she let it all out. And so it's like, well, we knew that, like, the thing that made her the most entertaining was how she spoke. It's like, well, this makes the most perfect sense. Just speak. You're fucking entertaining when you just talk, and now put it into something.
There's more to spoken word than just speaking. Like, she had the right pauses and the right emphasis on the right syllable.
The word, syllable. Like the tone rising and falling with the, like the way, like the whispers.
The way to deliver a line.
She had all of it there.
And she even had some choreography to keep it interesting. She didn't just stand there with like a floodlight on her.
When you already have a highly advanced speaking level, as we know she did from season 2, you can do even more with it, when you actually rehearse and practice and hone it, So it's like, I think it was a brilliant choice. It's like, really, that makes sense for who she is and the brand that she kind of set up back then, which was like, I'm always honest, I always tell the tea, even if I'm being a bitch, even though I was having a rough time at the time. Whatever, everyone's having a rough time at some point. So, but that's kind of her thing. So it's like, okay, she's kind of sticking to that, and it worked so well. And Katya said Katya said it was her favorite, and I completely agreed with her.
Oh, it was. Oh, you mean a poem filled with boner jokes? Yes, oh, yeah. I am in.
Called The Same Parts.
Same
about
parts.
Being the lady at the club who's a lady boy, and they don't find it gets to the point where, like, oh, I'm making you hard, so I better tell you I'm getting hard too.
See me with them hands, bitch.
Oh my god, all the words, I just love that. And then, like,
it was hysterical. It was same parts. Thank you.
We've got all the same parts as you do.
It was very smart. It was clever. It revealed itself in a very satisfying way. It was no pun intended, and it was just really my favorite. It was one of my favorites. I thought she did a really good job. Easily
one of the best. I thought almost should have won.
There was a little too much singing, honestly. Too much not great singing.
Well, like, a lot of people call their performance singing when it was really more of a comedy thing with some song, or it was just a performance art
Alaska,
thing.
Detox.
Because Detox was just, like, sort of a striptease without having stripped, because she was already stripped, and then, like, splattering glow paint on her.
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
No, it was totally fun, but it definitely wasn't, like, singing wasn't the talent there.
Right.
Because they all kind of had to avoid saying, like, well, it's just drag, it's my talent.
Well, no, it was drag Blue Man Group, but with different colors.
But it feels like, it's like, well, this is my drag. So it's like, what do you call that when you're forced to call it a talent?
It's my act.
So it's like people have to find some word for, like, the talent that they're doing since they're doing a talent show. So a lot of them fell on singing when it wasn't necessarily the thing that it was.
What was Alyssa's talent under?
Oh, they called it variety. Like, it was a variety show. And that was a completely accurate description of what we saw.
They should have used variety for Detox.
For Detox. They could have done that, too, because it's like you're kind of doing singing, you're doing some kind of drum playing that's not really related to the rhythm of the song, but you're doing it to splatter the paint all over. Like, it was a cool...
And there was some dancing.
So that would have been... But it also... Variety conjures up a very specific, like, aesthetic.
Almost like an old-timey aesthetic.
Which is kind of what Alyssa started off, because she started off with a puppet.
Oh my god, when I saw that, though, I was like, oh no, girl, what is this? Is this drag Jeff Dunham? What's happening?
What are you doing? But it was like a legit variety show, and then she only did it for like 20 seconds, and then it's like,
it was actually the perfect framing device.
And then next thing, and it was like, and then...
Did you know Alyssa could dance that well?
I did. Well, she has a dance studio. She teaches dance, so I know that
Abby Lee Miller.
Yeah,
but I thought that she also does kind of look like skinny Abby Lee Miller.
Yeah, a little bit. But she's a legit dancer, and you got to see it there. She rapped, but it was also part of a variety show.
But she smartly pre-recorded that, so she just lip-synced it.
Yeah, you can tell she did that, but it was a good idea.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was a really smart idea.
So it's like, no, you don't want to be trying to fuck that up while you're dancing. It's hard to sing while you're dancing.
Yeah, she wasn't trying to pretend like that wasn't what was going on. I just thought that it was smart, and I thought that other queens could have maybe have benefited.
Well, I wouldn't have helped Fifi, because Fifi
started from the jump at, like, a bad place.
And she decided to do it a cappella, which obviously you can't pre-record that shit and then go out there and lip sync to it.
Well, yeah, she's not Ashley Simpson. But So when I was on YouTube on the World of Wonder page trying to find Untucked if they were going to do it for All Stars, they had some behind the scenes stuff. So they had footage of Fifi talking in the workroom about how she actually wanted to do the I Have a Dream speech, but in different cartoon character voices.
Oh my gosh. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, but she said that she couldn't keep a straight face for long enough, but she started doing it in a Gollum voice, and everybody died laughing. Like, I think she said it to, like, Katya, Alaska, and I think maybe Detox. And I think it's hard to make Alaska laugh. And Alaska was, like, dropped down to her knees immediately. She's like, rah, rah. It was hilarious. I encourage you all to find that online, because I'm not going to try and
it's so sad that she didn't do that as her talent, because...
Just like it was so sad that Trixie couldn't do... Anne Frank for Snatch Game.
I know it would have been potentially very incendiary and offensive to some people, but I think a lot of people would have gotten the joke itself, which was not to make light of the Holocaust. And I'm sure Fifi was not trying to make light of the Martin Luther King or Dr.
Civil Rights movement.
She's not trying to make light of that, but she did get accused of being racist in her season, so it probably might have factored into.
Yeah, probably.
For that, because I got the joke. I don't think she was being racist, and I think they genuinely made way too big a deal of it then, because she was playing Sarah Palin, and she was making a joke about how Sarah Palin would probably say some stupid shit like that because she saw that movie. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like the performance wasn't
as
good.
Fifi.
But,
But she also wasn't being Fifi.
She wasn't being Fifi. She was being that character. And I think people conflated that with her. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that was fair. So I think it kind of held her back from doing this, which would have been another bold, brilliant, and, like, that's real drag, is, like, being, like, potentially offensive, taking something,
Well, that's a lot of what drag is about, is being offensive to the norm.
To the standards, you know? It's like, so I like that. At least the thought was there, and it gives me hope for her as a performer, because that a cappella performance was dreadful.
Oh,
because when you're nervous, you just you kind of have to let go a little bit to hit that high note. You have to let go a little bit. You can't let that much. The air won't come out to hit the note if you're restricted or tense, And you could tell she was tense because she could never go up to upper register. She just got stuck at this low ceiling, and on top of it, she wasn't even hitting the lower notes very
I was going to say, I'm like, if she could find a note, it would have been a different story.
It was so bad.
Going up into the higher register wouldn't have mattered if she stayed in any key consistently.
And what's even more sad than that was Coco's
performance. So if that was dreadful, Coco's was woeful.
I mean, the fact that Coco's was worse than that says a lot about how bad Coco's choices were. Again, Tatiana's like, that was a choice. Like, oh my God. I'm like,
so I understand. So Coco, before she went on, she's like, oh, I'm taking such a big risk. I hope it pays off. I'm like, girl, you already know it's not. But also,
why would you take a risk?
Now, do what you're really good at. That's what a talent show is for,
That's what you're supposed to be doing. Showcase you're really good
talent.
at.
She's like, I do this 7 nights a week. I'm like, do what?
But see, what she does is like lip sync for her life, basically, 7 nights a week.
Then she should have just done that.
But it's like, I think it's hard for her to pick that as her talent, because it's like, well, that's a talent that every drag queen should have. Because it's what every drag. Really good at it's like saying that my talent is drag, and it's like, well, we are all drag queens, so you have to have some other talent. So she wanted to find something else, but she knew she could dance, and so she kind of like kept that old Hollywood theme running. But not only did she not complete the makeup look all over where it needed to be.
So it looked jarring.
So it was jarring, and like the discrepancy between the look of her arms and hands and her face painted for a screen.
Yeah, the hands were distracting. Especially because there was a point, though, when she's dancing with the hat, when she's like, I don't know, shaking her finger at the photo of someone that we don't know and we don't understand the relationship to. But not only did I think she was dancing with a ghost, because I wasn't really getting what was going on, all I could look at were her hands that were like a completely different shade than her face, especially because she was holding her hands up near her face, so it was really noticeable.
Like holding
holding that hat and then like kind of dancing.
We couldn't figure out the narrative.
Yeah, and so when Todrick Hall was like, oh, it got really predictable, I was like, predicted what? Like, I did
that
not.
She would just kind of twirl around with his dress and not do anything. Is that what you mean? I think that must be what he meant.
Yeah, because the theme I was not picking
up. We couldn't figure it out. Like, she looks at a picture of a guy and there's a hat sitting there, so I'm like, wait, is she waiting for the guy to come over and why do you already have his hat? Is the guy already here and his hat is down while he's in the bathroom and you're like mooning about what a wonderful night you're going to have? Did he forget his hat? Did he leave his hat behind? Did you steal the hat of some celebrity that you're just like in love with?
I don't know if it's that one.
You know what I mean? Like you have like a crush on like this big star and like you went to a premiere and like you...
I feel like that's a complicated narrative that you would not have come up with.
That would have come out of an old-timey movie, you know? But like, we don't know what it was. It was just like we were saying before, like I went to the store...
End of story.
Like, well, and I don't understand what this soft shoe routine is about.
But you couldn't even see the routine because she had a really long skirt on. I honestly thought that, like, okay, she's just gonna start it here and then she's gonna, like, rip off the skirt. She's gonna, like, bust out a bunch of really great dance moves. Because when they said, oh, dancing, I'm like, oh, great. Like a real dance number.
And but it was like a soft shoe number that never told us anything.
That you couldn't see because her skirt was too long and you couldn't see her feet. So even if she was doing impressive footwork, which maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. Think so. But it looked like she was just doing a bunch of kickball changes. That's it.
It was and not, oh my God. And then, there was also, okay, like you mentioned, like she picks up the hat and starts sort of like miming, like either she's dancing with a guy who's not there or she's pretending to be the guy and making these weird facial expressions, like pretending, like, it was, the whole thing was so bizarre. And there's this one cutaway shot to Alaska with her mouth agape, like in total confusion and like shock at what's happening in front of her. I'm like, it was like a mirror for the audience because that was what I think everybody watching this episode had that exact same look on their face as they were watching Coco perform. Like, what are you like doing?
Confusion and sadness. But I feel like worst of all, it made her drag in general seem really dated, and she just seemed like
the old school, like old Hollywood look. That's a thing, and you can work, but there's nothing else going on beneath the surface of it, which is unfortunate.
Because it just dates her drag.
Because Max was like that, but Max had like a genuine creative persona beneath that, so it made his use of the old school, old Hollywood aesthetic like something really fresh.
Right, whereas Max was influenced by old school drag, Coco is just super old school drag. And I don't think that she's willing to change, and I think this is it, you know?
So that was by far like the worst.
It was hard to watch. I can't say that enough.
So bad. Ginger sang a song that was like the saccharine, like maudlin song that like new judge
Todrick?
No, not Todrick. But,
Raven Simone.
Raven Simone.
Raven Simone.
Raven Simone. I'm going to say it 3 times because then you'll never forget it.
I was like, because it'll conjure her spirit?
Or that. But she's still alive, so her spirit is probably still with her. But, yeah, so she was right on when she was like, this sounds like a song that you would sing after you've been already singing for 30 minutes. Like,
I actually don't even think that it represented Ginger well, because Ginger is funny, high fashion glamour, and her makeup was hideous. It was not good. The sharp line that was between her chin and her neck, like the discoloration between the two, just looked like she ran out of time. I don't care if you tell me that it's meant to be that way. I know what her face usually looks like, and it's not that. That jumpsuit was a nightmare. That wig was the only redeeming factor, but she's playing into that, like, Peggy Bundy type bullshit. And then, which is fine, but like, get a better outfit then. Like, wear some leopard or something. That jumpsuit was hideous. You're too short to pull it off. I'm sorry, but you just are. I didn't make them's the rules. That's how you look.
Pantsuit.
But in that particular finish too.
In the stretchy, like,
I couldn't look at it. And the song was just boring, and she's funny, and I thought that it would be more of like an up-tempo, funny,
she was trying to do her Lacage full, like, I Am What I Am thing that she did at the Logo Awards. I forgot what they call it. The Source Awards? Oh, God, not the Gay Source Awards. The Logo, like, they have an award show every year, and they did a big thing with Drag Race Queens doing a number or some choreographed thing to I Am What I Am, and Ginger was singing it, and it was like, this is like she's trying to recreate that moment, it felt like, and I'm like, this is not the moment for that. This is the beginning of the season. Like, no, like, you don't sing the thing you sing at the end, at the beginning.
It comes towards the end, middle end, if you would
like. You gotta build up to that song meaning something, because hearing it now without any context or any build up to it, it just sounds awful.
It was just boring.
It was boring. It really was.
Worst of all.
I was really bored. So I wasn't impressed, even though her voice seems a little deeper. It seems like her key is dropped. Like,
well, she does smoke, so
I know. Yeah, so I was thinking that, but it also could just be that like she might actually have had like a cold or something right before she started. Right before the season started, which could be the case. And
that's
so she's
fine.
like, okay, I have to choose a song.
But it comes right down to the fact that song just sucks.
It did. It sucked.
So
I'm with
that's
you.
the long and short of that one.
Alaska's song was hilarious.
It was
fucking
perfect.
hilarious. I love the whole look with the
See,
glittery,
you know
like...
You know what's ironic is that I definitely
wig.
thought that Alaska's song should have been Ginger's song. Like, something like that.
Yeah, something funny, because it mixed
really
a bunch
funny.
of different styles. Yep. All the lyrics were actually really clever and funny. And
it's just a song about how gay Alaska is. It was hysterical.
And then, like, the different modes that she kind of went into with her voice. Also, like, at moments you're like, oh my god, she really can sing. Like, you could tell she was hitting, like, a nice little, like, interval, like, here and there. And I was just like, oh shit. She's okay. She knows what sounds good, and she knows how to do it. Like, but little tiny moments, like, sprung in between the change of her voice to, like, I don't know. I really liked it.
I think I said it to you earlier, but she's basically just drag Weird Al. Like, she has funny songs. She can actually sing and is, like, musically talented, but a lot of it is, like, the jokey voice. Yeah. And she'll do different voices, but she can sing. She has that ability, but she knows that here's the word again, brand. Is funny. That's her shtick.
I liked her. And then I think we were talking earlier about Adores. So I actually liked the song. Like, I thought it was
out of all of the songs, and I'm not
going to begin the show necessarily. But I also appreciate that she's like, you know what? I'm being me. This is where I was emotionally recently. I wrote this song about it. This is my talent, is that I write and perform music. So I want to do the thing that I'm feeling now.
But in defense of Adore's song, Adore's song, I thought that at least, and I'm going to compare it side by side to Ginger because they're both like mid-tempo songs. At least her chorus took off and like went somewhere.
Yes.
Whereas I thought Ginger stayed very flat.
And she wrote the song herself too, so it was like
right. But I'm just talking about like tempo-wise and like lyric-wise. I thought that it was a lot more interesting.
So there's a lot of talent on display because she wrote that.
Not just the lyrics, but the
I think
the melody.
I think she wrote the whole thing. It was her creation. So
and out of all of the singers, and I wouldn't consider what Alaska did necessarily like singing. I thought that Adore had the best voice and the best song.
It was like a real performance. So it was like really disappointing. I mean, I get the outfit wasn't great, but that's what you expect.
But that wig was great.
Her. And the wig was amazing.
I loved the wig, and I loved her lipstick. And I thought her face looked wonderful. I thought she painted her face really well. And I loved the lipstick. Like, the dress was whatever, but...
But then that's the moment, right before they get to the judging, RuPaul announces that I was not lying when I said that I would not eliminate anyone, because you'll eliminate that's when she lays it on the drag queens that they're eliminating each other, and that they're going to pick a bottom three. The judges pick a bottom three, and then the winner of the lip sync for your legacy chooses which of the bottom three goes home. So one of my coworkers at my day job actually said that that's how it was going to work, and I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that's what I saw. That's what I read. And I was like, really?
Because when we read it, we interpreted it as whoever won the lip sync for your legacy could pick anyone. That's what
I thought it was anyone, but
that's
we
what
didn't know.
That's what we talked about in the preview. We both agreed that that's how it read.
I think that's all that was released. Actually, that's what my coworker was saying. But yeah, we didn't know that. I assumed that it had to be something like this, where the judges would pick who the bottom, and then you would have to pick one of those people to be gone, because you can't just pick anyone. It would just lead to be like, strongest person gone, gone.
It would just be pandemonium.
And now we have Coco.
Oh god. Yeah, it would just be pandemonium.
So this was another moment where they parsed out the information in a way as to create extra drama, in a way that doesn't make me hate the show, because usually I hate it when shows do this. Like,
I thought it was really well done. I didn't really care for how it ended up kind of shaking out, because I also think that they were sort of taken aback by this new information. I think the decision process for the top two queens might be a little bit smoother next time.
I think that was kind of the charm of the episode, though, because I think RuPaul really wanted to shake people up.
I'm not saying that as like that was not a critique. That was not a Michelle going ham critique at all.
Oh yeah, no.
But like, I'm just saying that I think it'll be different going forward how this eliminations process goes. I think this is the most pure we'll see it.
Yes, I think that was the intention for it, to show that, like, okay, it's kind of like I refined my attempts to be different and evolve the show from the last All-Stars experience, where it was all like really weird shit, like you're competing as in a pair of two, and you both will go home if one of you loses, and you can lip sync for your life, but there's a save button, so if you're not doing very well, like, you know, your partner can like save you and come in and replace you. Kind of, it was like all this weird shit
really
they
confusing.
were trying to do to make
this
it
is
interesting
way more,
and different. This is the way to do
it.
That really worked, because instantly it created this unique and very strange tension in the show itself, and the like having, because you know it's like the normal format is like you're going to cut back and forth between the judges and the contestants backstage, but usually it was obviously the judges talking, and it was just shots of people backstage, and then you'd watch Untucked to get the real process, backstage thing. But this here they've sort of mixed it in where you see them actually talking backstage when they cut back and forth. But now there's this bizarre tension where the judges are just having fun in this first episode. We'll see how it goes in the next episodes, but it's like they're all drinking, like, we're going to drink fruity cocktails while you deliberate.
It was actually
and then they start joking where it's like, so I said, why do I have to do it? It wasn't they.
It was Rue doing the classic start a joke in the middle of telling another fake joke, which I thought it all worked when she was like, it was pork chop. But
she kind of reminds me of when like Marge Simpson gets drunk, like how Marge Simpson is. It's like kind of how RuPaul plays drunk, which is hilarious to me. But it was so funny to go to this like totally hilarious, lighthearted, light-spirited, bright like scene, and then cut to backstage where the lighting is like more severe, like, you know, like it's more a little bit more high contrast.
Well, I feel like you can also feel the tension is so insane.
So it's like even the tension of like the show itself cutting back and forth was like jarring, and then you get into like what's going on. But I have to say that I think
that a lot of the tension and drama was coming from fucking Roxy, who was just like, let me exit interview all of you and make my choice. I love that Tatiana was just like, yeah, I
do not need to do that.
I fucking know who I'm going to decide to pick. And she was
keeping it real. They kind of edited
but also,
the show.
And I love how she was just like, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to base it on what I think, not what the judges think, because it's not about what the judges think. It's about what I think.
Like, if I'm going to be the judge that picks who goes home, it's going to be based on what I think. Who did the worst amongst the choices in front of me.
But we skipped over how we got to the final two, which ended up being Roxy and Tatiana. Roxy did actually a very entertaining burlesque number.
It's true. It was very entertaining because she was another one. It was hard to figure out what was your talent going to be.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun. It wasn't like completely perfect, but it was really good.
She couched the whole, like, I'm drag as my talent, but I'm going to figure out a way to cover that up. She
put it into something that I can give a real name to.
Yeah, and she actually
works.
Yeah, she had a real number and a wig under a wig. And
it was another one of those greatest hits things, because Katya's gymnastics routine had a couple of the same moves she did in her first Lip Sync for Your Life, in that amazing like airline look in the Glamazonian Airways Challenge. But
her back bend was crazy cool.
Like the back bend, only she added to it by doing the spider walk.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like, and she did actually one of those like balance beam, like those balance moves where you're in a handstand where you do a split and you hold a position for a while. So like she did that.
She's added to her gymnastics repertoire for sure.
And so Roxy sort of kept like a couple of her greatest hits, like I got the tearaway, I've got the wig underneath the wig, but I'm going to put it into something else. And so people kind of did that kind of thing for their talent, and it made sense.
I think that, Katya and Roxy were the smartest, and Tatiana too were the smartest about
their talents, and it worked out for them. And it was like they were trying to create that tension with Roxy being like, I'm most threatened by Adore because Adore can really sing and she's a really good singer. And then when they got to the judging, it was like not about her singing at all. It was just Michelle Visage, like.
Well, never mind the fact that Roxy didn't even sing for her talent.
Yeah,
so they wouldn't have been compared to anybody.
But it was like, you know, if everyone's going to have a talent, like there's an obvious talent that she's actually good at. So it's like, you know, you got something to go to that you can use and that you can actually do really well. And it's like, well, everyone's going to be impressed because that's like a real skill that like you have to spend, you know, that you have to actually train to be good at. And you have to have a natural gift for it too. Like burlesque is something that you can learn in some ways as a drag queen. You kind of have to have some element of it already in you.
Well, it was clearly choreographed too. I mean, it was something that she planned.
That she put together, you know, it wasn't an on-the-fly thing.
Coco.
So I could see, Coco, that was so sad and terrible. And, like, Adore's song was, like you said, was really good, so it made no sense to me that Michelle would just instantly go in. First of all, that she had to give that disclaimer, basically saying, I'm going to be a bitch. So don't fucking whine to me
well,
about
it's just like when
me
someone's
being a
like,
bitch.
no offense, and then they say something completely offensive to you.
And it's like, dude, she had kind of attacked Adore on a personal level. And it's like, that's beyond the scope of, like, judging a contestant. It's like, this is the thing. It's like, she says, like, oh, I was expecting more. And, like, first of all, that is not true. You've been working with her consistently for, like, the last 2 years. You know exactly who she is as a drag queen. You know what her style is. So you telling her that
even when we cut to backstage, Adore and Detox are talking about how when they were on tour together with Michelle, she did the same shit. She would come up to Adore nightly and just be like, "That's hideous." And
so it's like you're not surprised by this. Why are you acting like she should? What do you think she was going to do instead? Like that's the thing. It's like she didn't really offer that. Mm-hmm. She just kind of just said like, "Oh, you look terrible," and she made it sound like she did nothing.
Bye.
Like she's like, "Oh, well, you did something," you know, when Adore's like, I did my own hair. And she's like, well, at least you did something. It's like, well, how about the song that, like, the music and lyrics I wrote that I performed?
Here's the thing. Michelle hardly judged anyone's, to be fair, Michelle didn't judge anyone's talent. She judged everybody's looks. And she went in.
But it's like they gave, like, almost all the talk about Adore was just about her look.
Well, they wanted to knock, you know that's editing.
Well, obviously, but it's like they only edited together the comments about her look. And I'm like, dude, is anyone going to talk about the actual talent that she did?
Todrick
was the only one because, unlike Michelle Visage, I think he, like, actually sings regularly.
Well, he currently sings. He's currently a singer-songwriter. So I think that he, from someone that's in the same profession as him, felt for her and wanted to let her know that I like what you
understand what you're doing,
but Michelle,
and it was on brand for you.
When was the last time Michelle ended up, like, when was the last time she was in a girl group? Like, 20 years ago? She doesn't remember what it's like. She's been a judge for way longer at this point than she was in a girl group.
Yeah, and if she understands what Adore's career is, then she should understand the aesthetic and what Adore's doing.
She's like a Catholic parent. Like, she understands. She just doesn't give a shit. She wants you to be a different person.
And it's like, stop telling her to be a different person. That's not going to happen. And you're making someone feel like shit and telling them they didn't do any work. When they clearly, like, you're basically saying that...
She put the work into the talent portion and not so much, like, the dress portion.
Or even the dress portion, it always suits who she is. It's like, you think it's just lazy... Like she said, it's not just lazy drag. Like, this is my character. This is who Adore is.
I also thought that Adore was definitely right when she's like, I can't mosh in a fucking corset. And I'm like, yeah, no, you can't.
And that's kind of what she wants to do.
And I think if you're going to give her any shit, I think the gloves were stupid. I didn't really care for the gloves. But other than that, I don't care. It was fine. You know what I wasn't
looking... The look to me was... that is who Adore is. And if I go see Adore perform, I would want Adore to be like that. I would want her to be herself.
But I don't think that she could have worn... I know I was saying earlier, and even to you before we recorded that, you know, maybe she should have worn this or that. I think that she could have worn whatever she wanted and she was going to get the same amount of shit.
Probably, no matter what it is she wears, because that's always going to be the same thing.
I think Michelle just thinks that, like, you just have to beat someone down for long enough, and they'll change. And it's like, I don't know if that's how this goes.
Like, no, like, whatever is going on with you, like, I think you need to get it together, because Michelle Visage did not come off well in this episode. Most everybody disagreed with her on most of her critiques.
Yeah, when Raven clapped back about her comment, Fifi's dress comment, she's like, I actually really like this dress. And they cut to Michelle rolling her eyes.
Because Michelle thinks she knows. She was really off-putting. I was very, very disturbed by that.
I feel like she's usually, I don't want to say abrasive because that's not very nice, but she's usually strongly opinionated. But
she's constructive. She's
this was extra. I don't know.
This was just her.
Is her contract up or something?
I don't know, because it was like I think she went too far. Because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't actually like in a good spirit. It didn't feel like there was a good spirit behind the comments, which was upsetting.
She seemed very grumpy.
Like, she was playing, she might be a better actress than we think, and she was playing a character, and then that character is just going to tone down the character as the season goes on. Who knows? But that was really weird. That was like the one main downfall of the episode was her on the judging panel, bizarrely, because usually she's funny. But yeah, no, was not feeling that tonight. So that was the only, like, half star off, really, was for her. Because everything else is fucking amazing. Because when the girls actually have to choose, like you said, like, oh my god, Roxy trying to play Mama Ru.
Well, so you could see the second that they were like, Roxy, Tatiana, you're the top two, you could see Roxy's head grow 4 sizes.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to do that. I'd like to talk with each of you. I'm like, what are you going to accomplish with that talk? Like, I don't understand what's going to happen.
All she's going to do is give each one of them false hope that she's not going to eliminate them.
And each of them cries. It's an opportunity for everyone to cry. Because it's like, it was so weird. I'm like, okay, are you trying to like set yourself out front, you know? Like you're branding yourself as like the front runner. Is that your brand now? Because what is Roxy's brand besides Thick and Juicy? That's not much of a brand. That tells you much about her as a personality.
I think of Juicy Couture tracksuits every time she says Thick and Juicy.
Right. I kind of do too, and I never wore Juicy, obviously.
I never wore them either, but all I could think about were, you know, how it said Juicy on the butt of everybody's sweatpants for a long time.
Tacky.
And Roxy's kind of tacky.
But she actually, her looks, I have always liked most of her looks. She always was sort of like hit or miss.
Yeah.
When she hits, it's really good. When it's a miss, it's a bad miss. And some, you know, her good hits are, you know, I think she looked really good throughout this whole episode, but I definitely would have picked Tatiana as the winner.
Yeah, when they said that.
But it was an interesting lip sync because Roxy was good to
really
watch.
Even.
It was really even. Roxy was really good when you're looking. This isn't meant to be a read. It's just like, you know, from the far away look and you see like the actual dance and choreography. Roxy's performance was better. When you're up close, Tatiana's performance is better because she was really performing the song in a way in her lip sync. So she really got the character of the song.
I also think a lot of that is Roxy's outfit.
So there was that kind of interesting dichotomy.
And that's why that's why the wide looks good for Roxy.
The wide
looks good for Tatiana.
Exactly. So it's like there was a difference in style that like the editors made sure to highlight, like, so it really felt even, and it was just sort of a preference. And because Roxy's was a little bit more dancey, I think, like there was actual more dancing, then I think maybe that's why maybe she got the edge in the lip sync for Your Legacy and the $10,000 and the right to choose who was going home.
Oh,
and
Lord.
She made it sound like she was like, I think I should go with whoever the judges would think would be the worst performer. I'm like, but how do you know that? You don't know what they would choose because they didn't choose it.
I mean, her whole speech was very much trying to remove herself from any sort of culpability of being blamed for this decision later on, because she rightfully knew that Coco was going to be pissed.
And Alaska was like, that's why you gotta love Alaska, because when they get in, she's like, the only way for this to be fair to everybody is to judge honestly. If you're the person who gets to choose, you should always choose based on who you really think did the worst from the people that you have to choose from. That's the only way that like we can like sort of maintain our sanity and have it really be fair to everyone. And I was like, that's what I hope for. But, you know, we always want a little extra entertainment. And Tatiana was also just being completely real when she was like, well, I mean, we all say that we're going to do that at the beginning, but how, it seems obvious that at some point someone's going to be in a position where they're like, well, I don't want to have to go against that person in the next round, so I can eliminate them now.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the genius of this new format, is that it's going to be different every week. It's not going to be as predictable as, say, like a regular RuPaul's Drag Race, where you know who's going to be in the bottom. You have, like, a pretty good idea of how things are going to shake out, because you never know who's going to be in the top two and who's going to win, and who that winner in particular is going to think about wanting to vote off, because they each have different, very personal reasons why they might want to vote off particular people at any point in time. It's going to be very suspenseful versus just regular.
I can't wait to see how it plays out.
It's going to be, like, I don't even know how we're going to predict our regular top three. We're going to have to do it every week at this point to change it, because depending on how the deck gets shuffled.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, I have no idea how it's going to shake out.
Because what if you get to a challenge where like
I have no bearings here,
who was a leader actually did perform really terribly, and then they're in the bottom three, and you have that option, you as the person,
or if somebody's
who's choosing knows that person is actually really good, and this is like their one bad moment. But if I'm going to judge based on who I actually think was the worst that week in that challenge, if I'm going to say I'm being fair, like I do have to pick the person who was the worst and not vote on who I think is the better drag queen, like as well. So it's like there's all these different things that could complicate how they choose. So it's a brilliant extra level of drama. But
I also think it's the smartest way to revamp your season without changing things too much.
Exactly. Because they still have, the judges are still an essential part of it. They still pick who the winner of the lip sync is. They whittle it down. They still pick who the bottom performers are.
Well, it would be a free-for-all if they were like, yeah, just pick anybody. Like, that makes no sense.
So it's I think it will lead to continued very entertaining episodes. And already next week is Snatch Game.
Quickly.
Because we're condensing the season down.
Exactly. So, but what about when Coco left and she got a message from Bru saying that you could come back to compete for your revenge.
Oh, yeah. So, of course,
so there's like
another bit of information.
There's a fourth element.
I love how it happened because it's like...
Well, this is just like a Marvel Easter egg. Like, you know how you have to stay through the credits so you can see? Like, this is exactly what this moment was.
They put it together very, very well because it's like they do the whole thing where now they give you a little drag race trophy. You know, so she goes and collects her trophy from the shelf.
Talks about how disappointed she is.
And then you start hearing the music say, like, now let's dance. And you hear, like, the RuPaul single and the people laughing and dancing out on the stage behind them.
So it's a little bit like Untucked.
Like, into their, like, I'm going home now. It's like an extra bit of salt in the wound almost. And then all of a sudden you hear RuPaul's voice from, like, the other side of the room. And then it cuts to the TV screen and it's like, oh, stay thirsty, girl. Because you can come back to compete for your revenge. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best way to announce it because it's the most entertaining way to announce it. Thank you, RuPaul, because I think it really worked. It was so good. I was just like, and then, like, the slow, drawn-out revelation that, of course, they're going to bring some eliminated queen back at some point.
I figured that was coming.
Is there still some more to reveal about how that happens? Is it just that we're going to choose someone? Is there going to be a challenge like season before last where they came back and competed in a team on a challenge and the winning team, that eliminated contestant is the one that comes back? That's how Trixie came back.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it. And, like, at what point in the game, though?
In the last season, it was a double elimination that caused him to bring someone back. So they didn't have a whole, like, later on in the season, like, oh, we should have...
Yeah, what's the timing going to be like?
This person gets a second chance.
I would assume a couple more people would have to be eliminated.
Yeah, I think it's going to be halfway through. So there's 10, isn't there 10 queens? How many?
Yes. Right?
Yeah, 10.
Okay.
There's 10. So I think once 5 are eliminated...
That's a pretty safe assumption.
I think then they're going to bring back... That's usually around the time that they do it. I think it'll still kind of play out here, because otherwise it'll only be like 3 people are coming. I have the chance. So it's like, the odds are better because there's fewer people. But I'm like, if they wait till the top 5, then they could do another team thing where they compete in teams. And the winning team... The eliminated contestant that's on the winning team is the one that comes back into the show. But it said revenge.
Yeah, so that makes me feel like...
So what does revenge exactly mean? I feel like
when we do get to the halfway point, all 5 come back as like a team to compete against them.
Maybe they get to pick somebody who goes home, and then the other team gets to pick the one who comes in or something.
Oh, that would be terrible.
Like something like I'm like, they said you get the chance for revenge. So I'm like, revenge is something specific. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe the next elimination we'll get a little more information.
It did say to be
or another
continued.
Clue. Yeah, it said to be continued at the end of the episode instead
of. Well, that's why
like,
I went immediately to the YouTube page to be like, oh, is there more like online somewhere? Or...
They definitely had more clips, but nothing more after to be continued.
Oh goodness! Wow,
so good.
So we're gonna have to be continued. We're actually gonna be. It's terrible timing, but we're actually gonna be off for 2 weeks.
Yes, I'm visiting the Telluride Film Festival.
We're just both on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we will recap quickly the last 2 episodes that we missed and whatever is going on that week. I think we're going to stick to releasing on Mondays. So look out
your
for
Monday
this.
Mornings will be really fun commutes to work or from work. At the end of the day, you can keep your energy up with this podcast, I hope, which you can, of course, find on iTunes and subscribe to for free. I'd love it if you rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. But of course, you can also find us on YouTube at our Gambit Digital YouTube page. And you can find the links to these also from the Gambit Magazine website. GambitMag.com.
Oh, yes, you know, girl.
Oh, yeah, I got it
But before
down.
we officially sign off, I think it will be fun if we just predict who we think would be the top 3 every week, depending on how things shook out in elimination.
Well, it's going to be hard to say because I've already seen the preview for the Snatch Game episode. We know that Fifi is doing Teresa Caputo, what's her name? The Long Island medium.
Uh-huh.
Didn't sound like the voice is all there. You really need the voice to make that impersonation funny.
Yeah. Is it going to be like another Nancy Grace situation?
Hopefully not that bad. The wig looks right, and the nails, I think, were there. But also, they're suggesting that Fifi is playing mind games just like she did with Jiggly Caliente in season 4.
Whatever happened to a new leaf, guys?
With Alyssa, where she tells Alyssa that, like, she's like, I think your Joan Crawford is too you. And I'm like, oh, so Alyssa's trying to do Joan Crawford for her Snatch Game. I can't remember what the other little clues we got for the other Snatch Game panels, personas were. But we got that little bit. But Katya said something interesting. She's like, this is a chance for the people who bombed this challenge before to redeem themselves by doing really well now.
Who in the group?
Fifi was terrible as Lady Gaga. Detox didn't do well as Kesha. She was very poorly received.
I also feel like, why? Why are you guys picking these people? It's a bad character choice, but go ahead.
And Alyssa was terrible as Katy Perry.
Another terrible choice.
So it's like...
Great choices.
Choices. It's all about choices. But yeah, Tatiana's stock went up with this episode a lot more than anyone thought. Because... And she surprised you every time. Like, when she told you what the challenge was, you thought, no. But then it was really good. So it's like, hey, maybe there's more there. We'll see as the season
And as we stated, her looks have
continues.
improved. Her fashion taste level has gone up. So I definitely think that she is a contender for the top 3. I also think Roxy might be, because this edit was so in her
beneficial
favor.
to her. But she also won the first challenge on her season in season 5.
But I feel like the rules are a little bit different. So if she doesn't rub anybody the wrong way, I think she has the potential to go pretty far.
We'll see. She's still very pageant queenie in her persona right now. Like, I'm going to be a good girl. It's like, well, don't be too good a girl.
I'm not going to be that girl.
Like,
Smear, I'm just not going to be that girl.
Like, we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna reserve judge. I think he'll try to be nice, but I think it'll be boring. So that's what I'm reserving judgment on until later.
It's a matter of time before a producer gets in your ear.
I think Alaska is definitely up there.
Yeah.
I think if Katya can step out from the pack a little bit more, she could be up there. Ginger, I just don't see.
I don't see it.
I see her being safe until she's being eliminated. Unless they get a challenge that, like, maybe she gets over this cold.
I love how you're blaming it on a cold.
Well, I genuinely heard, like, a slightly lowered tone, which cannot just be from smoking in, like, less than 2 years. Unless she but it was weird that her reason for being back was because she was so unhappy with herself, and now she is. And I'm like, no, you were almost good at, like, you just had a couple challenges that you were really terrible at, but most everything else you were good at. You're talking about conquering your fears. That was your line last time, was conquering your fears.
She's also walking back. I feel like she's in a negative space as opposed to the positive space.
Yeah, like she was talking about how she lost 30 pounds from, like, being so busy that she's not eating regularly and then just filling up on airline peanuts. Like, okay, that's not healthy. That doesn't actually, like, make you look great. Sorry, heard a sound. Oh. But yeah, no, it doesn't, like, really sound very good for you. Like, oh, you're not eating? That's how you lost weight? Like, it's not just that you're more active. It's like, oh, I'm also not eating. Like, oh, that's not really what you want to say, is it? Like, I assumed it was just a joke, but it sounded kind of for real. So I was like,
laughing.
Not good.
It's like half joke, half truth. Yeah,
it was kind of sad, a little sad sounding. So it just doesn't give me a good vibe for Ginger this All-Star season. Detox, we have to wait and see what she does. Because that first challenge was cool, but it wasn't anything, like, super amazing. So it's like, she'll have to show us more to be in the top.
I actually think Alyssa has a really good shot, though.
If she can get through the Snatch Game, whatever it is that she does. Fifi, I don't have much
I think her time is limited, unfortunately. And I really like Fifi, but...
And we had hopes for her because her drag really has evolved since she was on the show. She has completely changed and done so many more interesting things. And I'm like, well, why aren't you showing us that here? Like,
I also feel like maybe her makeup skills have gotten worse because she looks so cute out of drag. She's got a great face.
She does, like, sort of, like, body painting style, like, art with her drag, which doesn't translate necessarily to drag race.
Yeah.
You know, like, Kimchi found a perfect way to blend the two on this last season, but I don't think Fifi has a way to blend them. I think she knows how to do one and do the other, and one she does way better than the other.
I would definitely agree with you on that.
So I'm not seeing that. Ginger kind of... Roxy, possibly. Coco, we'll see if she gets her revenge, but even if she does, I don't see her winning. Because, like we said before, nothing new. Same thing, only worse.
Yeah, it's hard.
Alaska, same thing, but always amazing and always surprising. So I see her being possibly up there a lot. And Tatiana, we'll see if she can carry this forward.
I really think she can. I feel like she's in it to win it.
I feel like there's Katya, Detox, possibly, depending on what we see. Alyssa.
Yeah, but so you'd put Detox more Alaska on the bubble.
Detox and Alyssa are on the bubble, depending on how they carry it forward.
I definitely think Katya, too, is on the bubble.
Yeah, a little bit. But, like, definitely, I feel like Alaska is almost, like, definitely top 3 material
Alaska,
for the
Tatiana,
whole season.
and I think if Roxy can keep it up, then definitely her. Because Rue loves an improved queen.
You know, and Alyssa obviously found a way to combine her talents into a show, which was impressive. Like I said, the potential is there if she can keep it up. And Detox and Katya have to, like, I think, go a step further from where they are now.
Okay, I think that's all pretty fair. Well, it's time to put LaWanda to bed.
We gave her a rest, but we did talk a lot of shit. We didn't raise you once during our talk on Michelle. Maybe we're just all.
Well, I don't think we were.
Too.
Yeah, we were not being shady. We were just being very direct.
Yeah, I suppose that's the case. But you know, like maybe it's just part of the story arc of the season. They've seen it all. They know how it is. They could. Obviously, she said those things.
Well, it's also a condensed season, so she's got to get her poison out some way.
Well, yeah, we'll see how it translates throughout the rest of this wonderful second go-round of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars.
And until next time.
We go.
Bye!